The 8th generation gaming consoles debuted in 2012. First to release was the Wii U, an updated version of the Nintendo Wii, then followed by the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the Wii U's replacement, the Nintendo Switch. These consoles had tons of generation-defining games, from single-player to multiplayer online games. And now, that next-gen gaming is upon us with the release of the PS5, Xbox Series S and X, and a new console from Nintendo that's expected to be revealed later this year. We'll look back at the titles that made a mark throughout the reign of the current gen. With all that being said, if I were to choose one game that's an absolute must-play, or shall I say, my game of the generation, I'd choose the latest game from Naughty Dog, The Last of Us Part 2. What's good, everyone? This is Kale. As you have heard, my favorite game this generation is The Last of Us Part 2. The game is exclusive for the PlayStation 4 and PS5 and is a sequel of the critically acclaimed The Last of Us that came out for the PlayStation 3. Honestly, I haven't played the first game, but having known the plot of the first one was enough for me to get engaged on the second game. The game follows the story of Ellie and Joel as they found refuge in an isolated and confined community run by Joel's brother Tommy. Well, I won't be divulging much of the story to keep this spoiler-free as possible for those who haven't played this game yet. This is the first survival horror game I played since Resident Evil 4, so it's kinda familiar, for me at least. I love this game mainly because of the genre. Then, combined with the gorgeous graphics that pushed the PS4 into its limits, and the level of detail they had put into the post-apocalyptic Seattle in the US. The characters also were properly designed and the movements were motion captured that seamlessly integrated in the gameplay. They were not stiff and responds accordingly to the action prompted by the buttons pressed, if you know what I mean. Like Resident Evil 4, the world is full of infected and mutated creatures, but they aren't just your enemies in The Last of Us. There are different factions that also pose a threat on you, and they are more dangerous compared to the zombie-like creatures that lacks intelligence. I also love the game's approach in eliminating the enemies. You can go loud and all out, or you can do stealth. But there were some areas that stealth was ineffective, especially in areas where enemies have dogs with them. They can sniff out your scent and in no time, your hiding place could be compromised. By the way, one reason also why this game got me hooked because it came out during lockdown and quarantine. Almost at the same time when Animal Crossing came out. The events of the game could have been a reality if the crisis and pandemic last year weren't handled the way it should be taken care of. I'm referring to the lootings and killings. Fortunately, it didn't come to that because it's scary. Going back, the game is action-packed, lots of killings, chasing and running, and most of the time, the game does jump scare you, especially inside abandoned buildings, where it's dark and hard to see, even with the aid of your tiny flashlight that malfunctions every now and then. Not helping. Thankfully, you have weapons in your arsenal and could be upgraded as you progress. There are also puzzles to be solved in the game in order to proceed and go to the next area. There's a part of the game that makes it a semi-open world, a nice touch to make it somehow a non-linear experience. Mini-games were also in the game. The game's soundtrack is also top-notch, especially if you are using a good quality sound system. It does add to the already terrifying theme of the game. Despite the fact that the game is set in a state that look like war-torn, there's still that feeling of calmness and relief, at least in some areas in the game. In the city, the buildings were empty and dead, but in areas like in forests, rivers, the world feels alive. Really, a nice way to take a break after an intense encounter with the enemies. As I've mentioned earlier, the game does look good. From the vegetations, water, weather effects, facial animations, everything looks amazing. I may have forgotten a couple of things to point out, but I think it suffices to say that it's really good as it gets. Well, about the story, surely it's an integral part of the game. Most people have played the game hated the direction of the story, but for me, it's okay. Could have been better though. It is what it is. To sum it up, the game does live up to its name by not diverting from the original source material. The game looks amazing, and for me, the best visuals in the PS4, rather the best visuals of the generation. The sound is great and complements well. Gameplay is excellent. For me, it's the epitome of a fine survival horror game. The cast did a hell of a job of portraying the characters in the game. Story is great but really depends on one's perspective. For me, it works. Again, I may have overlooked some things in the game that needed emphasis, but I think it would be best if you just play it to experience a true masterpiece of a game. And that's why it's my game of the generation.
If I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself. Everything I have found here, I'm not found by myself. Try and sometimes you'll succeed to make this man of me. All my stolen missing parts I've no need for anymore, 'cause I believe, and I believe 'cause I can see our future days, days of you and me. There you go.
Well, that didn't suck.
I'll take what I can get.
If you haven't yet, please do hit the subscribe button and notification bell for more content like this. Comment below your thoughts about the game. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and see you on the next one.
I don't know what I'm to say, I'll say